organ prolapse. Up to 50% of women will develop this condition over their lifetime.
And additionally, studies show that on average, women are waiting 3 years to see a specialist.
That's right, Montel. Many think it's a normal symptom of aging or childbirth, but as we'll learn today, just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal.
And listen up, ladies, you don't have to live in silence anymore. The first step is talking about it.
I'm Tina. I've been married for 31 years. I have 3 boys, and my family means everything. About a year and a half ago, I went to my regular well women checkup, and during the examination, they noticed a bulge, which was really surprising to me. I had no idea. I've always had issues with my female anatomy, and I just have to always push through. I had horrible periods. I had to have that corrected. I had 3 big babies. One was 9 pounds, 1 ounce, and I'm only 4'11". I was also thinking, oh, this is just part of being a woman. I'm older now, gravity sets in different places, intimacy, so it hurt. And I just thought, well, that's just because I'm getting older, you know. But then I was thinking, why do I have to live that way?
I'm Dr. Melanie Santos. I'm the medical director of pelvic health at St. Jude, where we have developed the most comprehensive pelvic health program in Southern California. I am the physician lead for women's health, where we are currently working to expand our women's health program, improving access to women all over the country. Pelvic organ prolapse is a common problem that many women experience, and this can happen for a lot of different reasons, and you can think of it like a hernia when you lose support. And what people often will feel is a bulge or a pressure down in the vagina. So there's a lot of reasons why a woman can get pelvic organ prolapse. Most commonly, it's from having vaginal deliveries or even pregnancy itself. But other things such as just increasing the pressure down there while lifting heavy things, strong exercise, pressure from obesity. It can also be affected by a chronic cough, increased pressure from bowel issues, as well as genetic issues. We see this in families.
2 months after my wellness appointment, I was able to make an appointment with Dr. Santos. She diagnosed me with pelvic organ prolapse, and it was very significant. So not only was my uterus prolapsing, but it was causing my bladder and my rectum to prolapse as well. I frequently had to go to the restroom, so that was a nuisance. And then the constipation, I started taking laxatives and trying to boost up my fiber, taking extra underwear with me. I was afraid of exerting myself, going hiking, going places for a long period of time. I was nervous, I was scared. I was apprehensive that my organs were going to come out of my body. Then I was more conscientious of it, and then I could feel it.
So I see a lot of women every day who suffer from pelvic organ prolapse. And the most common symptoms are a bulge or a pressure in the vagina. In fact, some of them come to me urgently because they're freaking out. They feel like there's a ball down there, sometimes even coming outside of their vagina. They can also have some bleeding and discharge and discomfort. They can have issues with their bladder and their bowel function as well, sometimes trouble emptying their bladder or bowel, or sometimes even trouble controlling it. And what's interesting is a woman won't always feel these symptoms when she has prolapse. They'll come and go. So some women wait years to address this problem. And when my patients finally come to see me, you know, they talk about how this has just affected their life on a daily basis. They're embarrassed by it. They change their daily activities. They might avoid exercise. They might avoid intimacy with their partner. They just sort of live in silence.
I was was born and raised in Norco, which my mom actually dubbed Horsetown, USA when she was the mayor of Norco. And I am so proud to live here. My family all lives in Norco. My husband and I met at Norco High School, and we've been married 25 years. We love raising our kids in this small, tight-knit community. I wasn't surprised when I started having bladder issues as a young woman. I had my kids in my late 20s, and I know that plays games with all the parts downstairs, and I had a really difficult delivery with my son. Both my mom and my grandma had bladder issues, so I wasn't really surprised because it seems like it was in the genes. I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the same time that my mom was dying from breast cancer, and that was overwhelming. Receiving a breast cancer diagnosis meant a lot of surgeries down the road. I did end up having a total hysterectomy. When I went to my general practitioner to discuss all of the side effects and issues I was having, painful sex, a deep ache that felt like cramping, but I didn't have a uterus, so I knew it wasn't that. He told me, "You don't need to live like this. You're too young to be dealing with incontinence. You're too young to be having painful sex. These are circumstances that can be fixed." And I'm so glad that he urged me to see a urogynecologist. When I first met with Dr. Santos, I was very excited. She examined me, and the nice thing was I was validated on all of the issues that I'd been having because she diagnosed me with prolapse. She said that both my bladder and my rectum were falling into my vagina, which was not great news and shocking sort of to hear. And I decided that I was not going to have my breast removed, have all of the surgeries that I've been through, and then be stuck at home because I was embarrassed. I just wasn't going to do that anymore. I needed to be able to live my life, ride my horse, jazzercise, travel. I was determined to fix this.
When we come back, navigating the treatment landscape for pelvic organ prolapse.
Welcome back, everyone. Pelvic organ prolapse can be embarrassing and isolating.
The studies show that only 10 to 20% ever seek an evaluation of their condition.
Thankfully, there are solutions. The first step, talking to your doctor.
So a lot of women think it may just go away on its own, but it doesn't go away, and it can get worse with time. And if it goes untreated, you can really get some significant problems. It's not normal, and you absolutely don't have to live with it. So the standard of care in treating pelvic organ prolapse typically goes from the less invasive to the more invasive types of procedures we can do. Often we'll start with just simple behavioral modifications, minimizing pressure in this area. And if the prolapse remains bothersome, then we can support it. We can use devices called pessaries, which are silicone devices that go into the vagina to give that support. It can absolutely help with the symptoms of prolapse. However, it doesn't fix the problem. As soon as they remove the pessary, that prolapse will come right back down again. But if they really want to fix the prolapse, then we move on to surgery. And that's a bit of a discussion because there's a lot of options they have. We want to factor in everything in regards to her daily life, what her expectations are, general function, sexual function, how active she is. She can be as aggressive or as conservative as she wants to be. And so it's really important that they understand all these options that they have so they can make a choice that they're happy with.
She gave me 3 options. I could do physical therapy, specializing in pelvic floor. I could have a device put inside that would lift from the front the organs, or I could have a hysterectomy with reconstructive surgery. I decided surgery as my number 1 because after the examination, she took measurements. And then she plotted those images onto a screen for me that gave me a picture of what my prolapse looked like. I was very concerned. I was very scared. Dr. Santos reassured me that this was the best option for me because of my severity of prolapse. And it was a good fix for me.
There are a lot of different ways we can do surgery. For instance, if they may be older and not sexually active, we've got some really simple procedures that are extremely effective. We could do surgery through the vagina using their own tissues or even a biological graft. Or we can do the abdominal approach where we use synthetic grafts for the more durable procedure. We basically lift the whole vagina on all aspects up using the synthetic graft, connecting it up to a ligament on the sacrum for support of the whole prolapse. My synthetic graft of choice is the Restorel Y mesh. Restorel Y is indicated for use as a bridging material for sacrococcygeal suspension or sacrococcygeal transabdominal placement via laparotomy, laparoscopic, or robotic approach, where surgical treatment for vaginal vault prolapse is warranted. Created specifically by a urogynecologist for the treatment of pelvic organ prolapse, Restorel is a physiologically compatible, ultra-lightweight mesh that supports collagen growth and works in concert with the patient's own tissue. So the reason I use the Restorel Y mesh for my sacrococcygeal, I made that decision after really reviewing the data, and there is extensive data on this mesh, over 15 years of it. And it really has just shown to have really great durable outcomes with minimal complications.
After having the surgery, I feel fantastic. I can go places and not worry about the things that I was worried about before. I can go hiking, I can go to wine country, and I had the most beautiful time at my son's wedding, where I could dance, I could talk to people, I didn't have to rush to the restroom. I can just really enjoy life.
I met with Dr. Santos about my options, and she shared that best choice is a minimally invasive surgery to lift everything up, and while she was in there, she could also fix my bladder by putting in a sling. And I did have some questions, and she really reassured me. She had all of the data on how successful these surgeries are for countless women, and I was just overjoyed with the thought of not having to pee my pants or run into restrooms like I had been doing for so many years.
So often when a woman has pelvic organ prolapse, which is a support issue, they can also have stress urinary incontinence, which is another support issue. And if she has both prolapse and stress urinary incontinence, we can take care of the stress urinary incontinence at the same time. I often will recommend including a mid-urethral sling for the stress incontinence, which is a small piece of mesh we place underneath the urethra to lift and support that urethra so they have control back of their urine with activity. And my sling of choice is the Altis single incision sling.
The Altis single incision sling system is indicated for the treatment of female stress urinary incontinence, SUI, resulting from urethral hypermobility and/or intrinsic sphincter deficiency, ISD. There are risks associated with the procedure, and the patient should be informed.
It's been about 6 months since surgery, and I'm just really enjoying doing all the things that I love to do with my son out on my dad's ranch, and enjoy the horses and just living my life and not having to have all the worries that I had before. In fact, my husband and I just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary in Palm Springs. We had a romantic trip, and I really feel like I'm getting my life back.
For more information on pelvic organ prolapse, stress urinary incontinence, and to find a specialist near you, visit femalepelvicsolutions.com. And as always, you can go to our website, thebalancingact.com.